Uh, hey, right now our current party is Method. He's another member from LOS. Method, say hi. And playing the role of Bertaz today is going by his gamer tag and his gamer handle of Eric. Is Eric. Love it. Oh, that's a sick ass emote, bro. Hell yeah. Hey, so guys, this is cool. I've been writing like little side piece stuff for a long time because I have been out of D&D and I've been like wanting to get back to it like really really hardcore. This is super cool for me because I'm gonna get the chance to. So can I move you guys? Hold on a second. So there's some stuff about. Yes, I can. Yes, but I don't want to. But I can. Okay. So you guys can like you can move the cameras and shit. I didn't know that. Okay. Like your displays on your window. Down below in your platform, you can move your displays and stuff. So we'll go over the world. We're gonna go over the history. We're gonna go over what makes this different from some other D&D campaigns, and then we'll do some. I'll walk you guys through some of the stuff if you haven't been on Roll20 before. I know you guys both play on Beyond. I can go over some of the stuff that I know about, and we can talk through that really quick and just how the mechanics of the platform work. If you guys have used it before, feel free to bring stuff up that you know about that I forget, and then we can jump into the games. Cool. And for anybody new that hasn't seen DD&D before, freaking hang out, man. I can't wait. Hopefully, we'll make some new fans. I would love to make more D&D fans on the channel here than Stranger Things did because I think it's. I love that they made it popular, but I also think this bullshit that there's a lot of people that only like it for that instead of what it was before that. Anyway, let's make it popular, guys. Okay, so this is the world of Valonia. I don't have the name written up here, but it's in the stream title, so check it out. Um, and the creation mythology behind the world is pretty well known because Valonia is only 600 years old, give or take a few days. Um, it was created. This is super cool. At least I think it is. It was created uh, by a archmage on another material plane. It doesn't really matter which. Right now, it's kind of lost to the annals of antiquity. But it was created by another archmage on another material plane who decided and found a way to use a demiplane to harness power, build resources, and create an army, almost very Sauron-esque like, um, in order that he would eventually bring them back to his homeworld to take over. Uh, Thanks, Salad. Appreciate it. When that happened, due to the laws of multiplanar multiversal thermodynamics, which I just made up in the creation of this world, in order to do that, he was sapping energy and sapping magic from other planes because he was bringing them into this demiplane that existed somewhere in the astral. But uh, it wasn't a problem at first until it became a problem, and he was really, really pissing off some of the major gods that were going on. Depending on what material plane you're from, they're pretty much all the same. Bahamut or Pelor, even banded together with Tiamat, and depending on what world you're from, Gillian or the other neutral deity that basically the three major powers representing all three alignments um, got together, realized that this was a problem, and banished him. In a way I'll explain in a minute. But because this had already started, and to flood the multiverse with a burst of energy and magic, which would thereby send a shockwave back through every material plane by destroying this world and undoing what the mage had done, what they decided to do was stabilize it and cut it off. Um, that was what the council had agreed upon, the three of them. What actually happened was Tiamat saw the opportunity in order to hide a growing army and hide her another massive force that she could grow and amass out of Bahamut's eyes, and use this to breed her own army, hopefully to offset the balance of the struggle that she's been having in the Outlands, so that she could gain the upper hand. So she decided to again seed some of the races here as a breeding ground. Gillian's God of Neutrality caught this, found out what she was doing, and uh, informed Bahamut, at which point in time he countered, seeded some of the other good races, and even created a few new ones in order to counter what she was doing. Long story short, the plane ended up being remaining open because they were unable to, due to Tiamat's treachery, they were actually unable to seal it off because it would have taken all three of them to do it. So now it is an open material plane, but the Archmage, which created the world, is now the source of magical energy in the world. They, in their own way of punishing him, imprisoned him within, whether physically within the world or whether in a magical means within the world. They have used him to channel magical energy through to feed to the world, and any that bleeds off comes back and cycles through him, and he lives and dies over and over again in this magical breathing pattern, feeding magic energy to the world in order to keep it moving and keep it cycling. And as he is born, magical energy spikes, grows up through his lifetime or the cycle or year, however you want to call it. It's not an actual year that's the cycle, like equivalent to anything else. On Valonia, that's their year, right? Magical energy peaks through the summer as he ages and grows and dies at the end of the year. Magical energy wanes, and as he is reborn, it starts to grow again. It's pretty cool. So that's the year calendar, and that's what drives it. And throughout the year, depending on the time of year, magical energy in the world will either grow or diminish its abilities. So, it's been about 6 centuries since Valonia has been formed. These are the rough political boundaries that have been created. There are where we're going to be playing at and where we're actually going to be starting. These territories marked 9 through 15. Before I say it, everybody calm down. This is the Confederacy of... I had all my notes with everything written down everywhere except in my face. Where's my notebook? There it is. It's on the ground. It's literally on the freaking ground in front of me, and I'm retarded. Okay. So, let me find my sheet that this was on. I've got a different page for every one of them. So 9 through 15 over here, this is the Confederacy of Heliah. H-E-L-I-A-H. That's Heliah. And each one of these states kind of makes up... There is an overarching government body that loosely determines where their alliance and where their efforts are going to go, but each state is independently ruled by a local sovereign. Okay? So, they all have their own independent laws. They all have their own independent systems. Each one is governed slightly different. This is the general area we're going to be starting. At least, yeah, that's where we're going to be starting. And then it's going to go from there. Who knows what else happens. West, general orientation. Each one of these hexes is about 24 miles. So when you zoom out, it's actually a pretty small world, right? And that's because it was just a created demiplane to harvest or to harness, like basically to amass an army. It wasn't created for any purpose to be a world self-sustaining. It's just what it turned into. All right, so different areas are marked. We've got the mountainous region here. Uh, there is a species, there's a race of mountain elves that are actually subterranean that are not drow. If you played D&D before, I'm going to screw with you. We're going to get some new stuff going on, and you should not rely on what you used to know. Um, there is a dwarven race, there's a dwarven kingdom, I'm sorry, that lives below the mountains. There's also a gnome population. Between the Confederation and the mountain races 2 and 3 here, there are tribes of barbarians throughout the state here, which, so 10 is called the Duchy of Arden. 9, which, guys, this is a homebrew world, so bear with me a little bit. I've done a whole lot with this. Naming them is something my freaking ADHD brain is not good at. So we're going to actually create this world as we play it also, so y'all can bear with me on that. I just unloaded on accident. So we're gonna actually create that right here. Watch this. Fantasy world generator. This is great. I do all this stuff right here. Oh, that's actual names. We'll come up with a name for it in a little bit. All right. So in between, you see there's a big jungle region here. This is actual jungle. It's fed by a lot of the weather patterns and stuff for this inland sea. Keeps this pretty humid. There is a jungle barbarian tribe in here. There's some plains barbarians rolling out here, and then you've got a tribe that actually lives in the foothills above ground. And then for orientation on the east, Area 19 here is unclaimed. There is a trading state at 16. They are not a part of the Confederacy, the Confederation. We're just going to say Confederation because, you know what? I'm not like all about woke bullshit and keeping it and being all politically correct and stuff, but I also just don't want to piss anybody off. So we're just going to say Confederation because that's a word too. Look it up. If you don't know politics and you're getting offended by that, you probably should learn something. Go read a book. 17 and 18 have been at war. This area is unclaimed, or rather is contested. All the way up this sea. The only exit from the inland sea here is this northern inlet. It freezes over in the winter and really bothers trade, which can hurt businesses and stuff in the area because this entire coast is set up for merchant shipping and trading. When it's unavailable, the nation states, part of the reason that they all came together is because when it's unavailable in the north, these warm water ports down here are available still throughout the winter. For about a century, there was a government in the northern regions here that was run by a hereditary Lord Mage with his council. It was a kingdom that was, I say hereditary, in the loosest of sense. At the time, in order to ascend to the throne after their predecessor was unable to rule, the heir, the first son, prince, if he had no arcane ability whatsoever, he was shunned, and there was an entire system to pick another successor. What is known and what is remembered about it, it was very violent. The entire kingdom ruled for its own expansion and its own conquest, and it was a large, I don't want to say axis, but it took a large union of nations and tribes in order to put it down and destroy it because it had grown basically just evil. The supposed remembered goals were to take over the world that was created to amass an army in order to amass an army and break it out into another plane. There are a lot of rumors about what the actual goals were. That's what's actually taught. There are conflicting theories about that, however, but they were put down several centuries ago in the final battles, however, the entire land was cursed, and it was I'm sorry, I keep pointing 1, 4, and 5. It's just 4, just kind of in that area up at 4. The entire area was cursed in such a way that all the vegetation was killed, the land was rendered useless, and the entire kingdom went up in scorched earth of a magical nature. Uh, the rest, there are kingdoms east, there are west, there are kingdoms north. The ocean is sailable, so the world is a sphere. It is sailable across from one side to the other. However, travel for the common person is pretty unattainable. Um, just because there's a lot of political strife still, the world is not new. There's still a lot of contention in a lot of areas. It's not peaceful necessarily everywhere, and sometimes, the common farmer just doesn't hear about things 9 countries away. So that's where we're at. That's what our players know. That's where we come from. And now, let's go over some mechanics. Everybody good with that? Pretty understandable. Any questions on that? Awesome. Well, we'll go over that in a minute. We'll go over that in a minute. All right, so yeah, so we'll go over that in a minute. So what we'll do is I'm going to prop a random token on the map here. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in just kind of in the area where we're at. The backgrounds are not the interactive piece. Everything is mapped and scaled. So um, you think about it in layers of an overlay. The map is our base layer, and then we're going to play on a token layer that's up top where it's going to be everything that you can actually interact with. All right, so I'm just going to drop this token here, right here. All right, we'll size them down. They are expandable. The tokens that I set on the map for you guys where we're starting and everything else, they are already sized. You won't have to size them. You won't have to do anything else. You can, but if you right click on your token, there's a whole bunch of options. You can copy paste them and all that other stuff. You move them if you're all stacked in the same square or whatever else, or next to each other, over each other, you can move them front and back like you can slides in PowerPoint. These up here, we're going to decide tonight what works for these, because a lot of these we can actually edit the values in here, and like we can put hit points in or something like that. We haven't like figured out what we want to use those for, and I wanted to wait to talk to you guys about that, because once we do, we'll come up with a standard, and that'll actually be what we'd use. I can ping the map if somebody wants to point at something. You can point, click, hold, and it's going to ping the map. If you shift click, it will zoom you over to where you are, and it's going to ping the color of your character, the color of you as a player, right? So I have access to everything. DM is red. All right. Method. If you ping, yours is green. Eric, yours is going to ping orange, and we can assign other colors to more players as we come up, so we can see who's pinging what if you want to. But again, if you shift click ping, it will zoom the map over to where your the ping is. Each one of you is going to control your own screen, your own browser, obviously independent, and you're only going to be allowed to see what I have up for you to see. I have a page toolbar where I can move your characters to other parts of the map. Go ahead. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Over on your left-hand side, there is a toolbox there. You guys can choose select and move on the arrow, or pan view. If you go up and click on the arrow and hit pan instead of select and move, you'll move the actual window. You can do that, or you can use the scroll bars down below. I know you guys' toolbar is limited. I've got a little bit more here because I can edit all the layers and stuff, but you should be able to have text, draw lines. You can, oh wow, that's cool. I didn't know that was there. You should be able to zoom in, rulers if you want to measure stuff. There's a dice roll menu for you guys, I believe, and then I've got things over here like initiative turns on the map. I don't even see that you wrote any. Oh, there it is. So if you select it, if you select it, you can just yeah, absolutely. So you can select that and then just delete it. Hit the delete button and delete it right off the map. Yep. Those lines, the ones that are on there, all the borders and stuff, I drew those outside of the program. Those are not drawn inside the program, so you guys don't have to worry about selecting them. And that's actually just scanned in pictures. So yeah, it's a really cool platform, solid so far. We'll see how the game goes, but yeah, I'm a fan of this platform. I know these guys have played on. It's another one built specifically from Wizards of the Coast for Dungeons and Dragons. This is done for a third party and is done for all tabletop role-playing games. So you can import Pathfinder, you can import, but they take all the source books from all these publishers and they actually digitize them, put them in formats that are compatible with this. So I can go into my digitized monster manual or my digitized dungeon master guide or whatever, and I can drag something from that digitized version of the PDF that's all linked with all the stats and stuff behind it, and it's all coded, and I can drag it into this game and drop it on the map. Um, and it also allows me to, a lot of that stuff is coded in to where all the character sheets are built, and I'll show you one of the character sheets right here for some NPC I have that I'll use 12 years from now. So you can actually come in and I've got their character sheet right here. And now I'm going to talk them through that here in a few minutes, but you can actually, there's an entire chat function too. So if you guys go up to the top right corner, you got a toolbar up there. It looks like a chat bubble and some pictures, and then like, so if you click on the chat bubble, it should bring up your chat window, right? Now, if you click on the as button, now the players are only going to have one, unless they're controlling one or more or two or more characters, which will be assigned. Like if somebody can't make it or something like that, then you can actually come in here and I can come in and I can do the same thing. I can pick any player that I have access to and you can type that in. Like I could type as the game master, right? Like roll versus total party kill. Or I can come in and I can roll as methods character if I want to. I critically failed. So I can speak as any of the characters also. Um, so if you guys have the as, if you actually like click your, you should be able to do it as your characters because they're all assigned to you. You have access to your, there you go. So now you can speak as your players, you can speak as yourself. So also there's that versus like I'm asking a question versus this in game. So like if you have an actual in-game question, you ask the character, you can come in and select it and ask as your character right in the chat. Another thing you can do, guys, is you can whisper to a player, or you can whisper to somebody else, and it will ask you. Right? So when you start typing, it will give you the option down here after you /W. It will give you the option of who do you want to whisper to, and you can whisper to any of the other players. So it's kind of behind if it's private conversation in the game, out of the game, however you want to do it. If it's two characters like plotting behind the other character's back, or somebody just wants to ask the DM something but not in public because they're be sneaking around or they're doing something else. Or I can whisper any one of the characters specifically and say, hey, you know, Barathis, roll versus whatever, you know, and maybe he knows he's going through something, but I'm not going to tip off the other characters, the other players, right? So it's all based on point of view, and it's designed to help curb metagaming, even though you're all online. Haha, right. So, and this, if you're on chat, that's how it indicates it right here, so you know what's going on. If it's a whisper, it shows up, it's highlighted, and it says who it's from. All right, really quick, guys. You can open up your character sheets. Go over to, why did I keep doing that? All right. So if you go to the journal up top, it looks like a newspaper, you can click on any one of the characters that you have access to, and you can bring up your character sheet. All right. So I can bring up Kitten's character sheet. Oh, I haven't designed it yet. She's gonna play. She just doesn't know it yet. So you can come into the character sheet and pull up the chat, right? And when we go down to the chat at the very bottom, let's say, all right, guys, I need a, like, Bertaz, Eric, I need you to, like, let's say you're going to attack, right? I'm going to do this on my turn. I'm going to click an attack. So you can literally click on the weapon or the spell. Every weapon that you have that has an attack roll, every spell you have that has an attack roll, every bit of everything is you click on that. Now what it's going to do in the chat is it's going to roll your dice. This is already set up. It was an option. I turned it on so that we could do it. So we knew every time, so it didn't get so confusing in chat with multiple rolls. If I make an attack, now something in 5th edition is advantage and disadvantage. It took the place of some other game functions or in earlier editions, but what that does is if you have advantage on an attack, let's say over an opponent, then you roll 2 dice and to hit, and the higher one wins, right? You use the higher roll. If you have disadvantage, you roll 2 dice, so it gives you the chance to roll under, and you take the lower of the 2. Every attack roll that we're going to roll in this game, every save that we're going to roll in this game, it's going to roll twice. Automatically, by default, the number that we're going to use is the number on the left. So this table right here on the roll it's your normal roll, your advantage or disadvantage, it's your second die 20 roll, and then underneath that, if it's an attack, it's going to roll your damage for you automatically based on what's on your character sheet, what that weapon is or anything else. If there's any modifiers that are temporary that are not on your character sheet, you guys need to track that, and we will add that to the die rolls that come up in the chat. These are catered that shouldn't be an issue. Even when you have inspiration, that will factor in, that's supposed to factor in to the chat, the die rolls in chat. If it doesn't, we'll figure out why. I'll figure out the mechanic, and we'll do that. There's an app for that. What app? I'm sorry. Solid's in chat being all crazy. What app? So what that does is automatically your first die roll, your normal standard die roll, is the one on the left. So for instance, Barathis rolled a 17 and a 10 with 5 for damage. We're going to ignore that 10 unless if he has advantage. Now we're looking at both dice. We're going to compare. His 17 is the higher number. So we're going to roll with the 17. So he did hit, and he's going to do 5 points of damage. Let's say he's rolling at a disadvantage, and this was his roll. His roll is the 10, not the 17. Oh, yeah. Yep, that's the platform these guys have been playing on before, too. But I had all my stuff loaded in Roll20, and I've already got the compendiums and some of the books loaded. So we're going to play here until either it falls apart and doesn't work, or we somehow decide that something else is better. But, yeah, D&D Beyond is the one that's actually sponsored by Wizards of the Coast. It's their property. I have Roll20 because we were playing Pathfinder and other groups, and then Dungeons and Dragons and everything, and this is like a multi-platform, browser-based role-playing platform, so that's why we're doing that. So, as you guys can see, like, we're getting multiple rolls up here. So, depending on whether they had disadvantage or advantage, or if they didn't, we would determine which number they're having. So, automatically we're using the one on the left, unless we have a condition, and then we'll do the compare and take the appropriate number. Damage rolls up at the bottom. Well, stop sucking. Hold on a second. On your mace. Okay, let me pull your mace up really quick. I'm going to pull up the mechanics and make sure that it copied right, because let's see. Yeah, because your damage says 1. All right, give me a sec. We're going to fix those. I don't know why those are that way. Because I literally added it out of the... Some of these Yeah, I didn't copy those. That was loaded in your character mancer, so we'll pull those up real quick. Guys, Equipment's Chapter 5 of the Player's Handbook if you ever need it. And there can actually, if you guys, we're not... no, I didn't. Hold on a sec. I got thanks for that. So for some, hold on one sec, guys. The Discord's not coming through, so I'm going to pop... oh, that's why, because I reset voice meter, and there we go. Now they're on stream. Go ahead, test it. Okay. See, this is why we're doing this, to rough out all this stuff.
Hello.
Yep, so they should be good now. Okay, so first night, we're bumping everything out, right? No big deal. We're working out the kinks. It'll be fine. So if you guys pull the stream up or whatever else, if you do have it up, if you don't, look at when you highlight over an item in attacks and stuff like that. Wah wah. Hey, that's why we're doing it, man. All right, so if you highlight over one of them, and this is the case for anything on the character sheet that you can modify. If you hover over it, you can hit the little gear there and hit that, and it will bring up the way that that item functions in your character sheet and then for the rolls, right? So your mace, your cleric, okay, so he's going to be straight up. Attack is strength. You can set the range, and then you can come down and set the actual damage. And the damage for a mace is 1d6 bludgeoning. So we set that right in here. We make sure that the modifier is correct. There's no extra bonuses. We make sure that it says bludgeoning right here. All right, crit is 1d6. And close that out. It will edit that. And now if you roll it again, I'm adding the damage to your crossbow. Did it come up in chat correctly?
In chat,
Yes,
it showed on my screen you rolling.
Awesome. So crossbow light. Crossbow doesn't take has no extra damage from an ability modifier. Piercing. 1d8 crit. Okay. And then we close that out. Ammunition is crossbow bolts. Now this is supposed to, it may not be coded right because this is something new that I'm doing right with this. Eric, it is supposed to deduct from your crossbow bolts just by virtue of being linked because I typed the ammunition in there and it matches this. If it does not, you guys can come over and you can keep track of the bolts that you use, the ammunition that you use, the torches, all this other stuff, these resources over here on the right. Okay. That is your count for what you're carrying currently. I'm not worried about updating it in your inventory. We can fix that later. I put it on your inventory. It's in your inventory down below just to denote how many you have because the weight mechanic was a little funny. It won't take anything below 1 pound, so it wouldn't let me do fractional weights. So we just put how many you have and what you're in there, but keep your running total up here in your resources, all right? So that should be that. So we go back to chat. Try it again. Okay, so it did it. Yep. 4.4 plus 2. Yep, because you critted. So the way that now you see that too. Look. So this is a good point. So this came up with a crit, right? So on advantage, if he had advantage on this roll, then he would have rolled a critical. Okay. It calculated the total for the damage had he critted, but it did it by still denoting them separate. It didn't total them up. So if this was a normal roll and you didn't have advantage, you wouldn't get that 23. You would have rolled an 8, and if that 8 would have hit, then you would have done 4 points of damage. All right. If you would have critted because you had advantage, then we would total that up and you would have got 6. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yes!
Yay! This is actually a pretty cool platform. I don't know about Beyond. Like I said, I hadn't played it. But I'm excited to use this. So, all that being said, who's got questions?
I'm ready to start.